Hi everyone, Mad Chatter here. Before we begin, I'd like to thank every single one of these amazing narrators for sending me their incredible stories. There will be timestamps and channel links in the comment section below, so be sure to check them out and subscribe. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
My parents hate that I come home late from a friend's house. They always see on the news that the Cedar Creek cannibal has murdered another family. Why can't the news reporter get my name right?
It's just gonna be such a long night, she told me as we walked hand in hand towards home. Aw, I know, honey. But hey, look on the bright side. At least you don't have to worry about dinner, I replied, and I pointed towards the 3 teens resting on our gravestones.
My boyfriend had taken me to the lake for a swim, but was now yelling from the shore to get out of the water. I rolled my eyes and told him it was just seaweed. It wasn't until I felt the ice-cold hands begin to pull on my ankles that I realized my mistake.
The following is a true encounter I have had with the paranormal, but have been summed up in 3 sentences to fit this video. My brother and I were getting ready for bed. As we brushed our teeth, our sister came walking out of her room towards the stairs, not saying a word as we greeted her. She then vanished as her door slammed shut at the same time. It wasn't our sister. For a while I had no idea what it was. Maybe a ghost.
She looked through the scope at the woman with her husband who was smiling and laughing. She had the same face as her, the same habits, and the same name. She knew she couldn't let this creature live.
I love my wife very much. The day we got married, I made a vow that we would never go to sleep angry with each other. But if this caretaker kicks me out of the graveyard one more time, he will be resting in the grave next to us.
He stood there admiring his handiwork. The skin still didn't feel or fit right, mainly because it wasn't his. He tried on the other, and it was a perfect fit.
I was awakened from my sleep by a strange noise. As I turned to listen closer, my hand hung off the bed, and my dog licked it reassuringly. Then I remembered. My dog was downstairs, locked in her crate.
I've always been afraid of the dolls in my home, for should they talk I fear they'd curse me through the day and keep me company unwillingly through the night. Their skin so lifelike and soft to the touch, their hair silky and smooth. However, their faces sag over time and eyes fall out. Maybe it's about time to go out and get more material. I've got to keep my dolls happy.
My little brother wept with fear as I ran with him in my arms. The giant black hound chasing us through the woods was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen or heard. At least, it had been until I heard it mocking us in our mother's voice. My best friend kept tugging at my arm, white with terror, and insisting that I put the necklace back where I found it. Panicking, I shoved him away, and as he ran for his life, he called out one last time, "Put it back!" Now, as the mummies closed in on me, down in that tomb, I began to think my friend was right.
It seems strange being back in the old house, now empty, after all those years. My therapist thought it might alleviate the continuing nightmares. Upon closing the door, my blood froze as I felt invisible arms wrap around me, and a low, sultry voice whispered,
"I always knew you'd come back,"
into my ear.
My neighbour has been acting in a very unsettling way this past year, such as barring his windows, adding motion sensors to the outside of his house, and I even caught him watching me as I returned home from an evening walk once. I've tried reaching out, but to no avail, sending letters of concern, festive cards for the seasons, and when I invited him over for dinner, he threatened to shoot me. He's just not been the same since his sister's disappearance. She was a troubled woman, a sweetheart with a ripe liver, but overall, she was a delight to have for dinner.
I have had this mind-throbbing headache all day, but I've got to tug this out because I've got to do this before school tomorrow. I refuse to be the only guy without a date this year, and that means I have to get rid of this unibrow that has haunted me since puberty. As I leaned closer to the mirror, I looked myself in the eye, and there in the corner was a white, wiggling string that disappeared from my sight, and suddenly, the unibrow was no longer a worry.
I called out to my wife from our bedroom, and she continued to stand still in the hallway. Then the shock hit me like a freight train. My wife was lying next to me. If my wife didn't get up, who was that standing by the door?
Trick or treat, they will greet. Trick or treat, the candy they will eat. Trick or treat, for me, they will be such a tasty morsel of meat.
Lost in the void, without love or pain, my purposeless soul this menacing ghoul has gained. Eternal hell now awaits.
The piercing cries of an infant woke me in the early hours, its wails making the voice come through the monitor a cacophony of robotic screeches. Sitting up, my feet avoided the cold floor by sliding into my slippers, and I wiped the fatigue from my eyes and stared at the door, preparing to leave my room. As I grasped the doorknob, the chill of the night crept up my arm, clearing my head. Wait, I don't have a child, or a baby monitor.
A man pounced on me from an alleyway on my way to work, wheezing and coughing like he was on death's door. He grabbed my face with his hands for a split second before running away, leaving only a flashbulb memory of tally mark tattoos. 1 hour later, I collapsed in a coughing fit in the bathroom, feeling myself slip away as I stared at the tally marks blanketing my skin.
I went back to my childhood home to visit my parents. I remember when they told me my fear of the dark would go away as I got older. My parents were right about the dark, but they were very wrong about the monster that still stared at me from the corner of my room. What happens when we leave this world? Some say we go to heaven or hell, but I've found the horrifying truth. As I write this, I will continue to relive the very moment the man pulls the trigger behind me.
Last year, my girlfriend left me for another at my friend's Halloween party. She drank a lot that night and then died of alcohol poisoning the next day, and the new guy took the rap for murder. I guess some people just can't hold their arsenic.
Oh, aren't you a ray of sunshine? Do not cry. Do not whine. The pain ends when you're mine.
I never leave home without a pocket knife. You never know when that situation will come, and you'll need it. Like when you come across an unsuspecting victim, walking alone on a rainy night. Sir? You can stop here. Excuse me, we just passed the house. My cab driver continued to look forward with a cold expression on his face and kept driving.
I woke up with blood on my hands and face throbbing. I went to the bathroom. What appeared in the mirror was a skinless face.
Dreaming of the night sky, I see maidens of the dusk, beautiful in their feminine forms, basking in the moonlight, calling me to join them. My happiness there is myself, delivered at the wonderland that is autumn and Halloween.
On a cold winter's eve, I dreamt I was lying beside a stone fireplace. As the fire warmed my chilled bones, the flames grew hotter, and it became much harder for me to breathe. My eyes shot open, and I realized that I wasn't dreaming at all.
That Halloween, I thought if I pretended to be what I feared most, just for one night, that it might help overcome my phobia, but I was wrong. The moment the material hugged against me, I could feel them, the spiders creeping and crawling beneath my skin. Now my cat watches from the corner as I frantically claw the flesh from my bones, and as my blood flows freely, I am released from their torment.
I met someone, a lovely young woman named Blair. She gave me the will to live on, comforting me after my girlfriend died in a bizarre drowning incident. But I was shocked when a year later, the police arrested Blair for the murder of my girlfriend.
Shush, Rufus. I can't hear the trick-or-treaters with all your barking. Rufus? Rufus? Come on, dog, where are you? If you aren't here, Rufus, who's doing all that barking?
While staying at a friend's house one Halloween, I had just turned the computer off and was getting ready for bed. After hearing a very loud bang from the back of the house, I thought to myself that my friend must have knocked something over. The next morning, I realized that I was completely wrong.
The night was young, but all I wanted to do was curl into a ball within my covers and watch the clock tick away until the morning came. So I said goodnight to my boyfriend on the phone and went to place it on my nightstand to charge. As I leaned over, I heard the pitter-patter of little feet coming down the hall, and I saw my brother out of the corner of my eye, standing in my doorway. His body cast a shadowy silhouette from the kitchen light as he dropped to his hands and knees and crawled towards my bed. But when I stood up and cast the flashlight of my phone towards the foot of my bed, no one was there.
People are stupid to believe monsters look like the boogeyman. All you need to do is look around this orphanage, and you will find them. Perhaps they are even the very people who brought you into this world. There's an abandoned psychiatric hospital in my city. Despite the fact that it's pretty easy to get into, nobody goes there. The reason is because, well, the patients never left.
My dad tells me to grab my assault rifle and get ready for hunting season. I love when we go hunting and the smell of a fired round. I just feel bad sometimes going to random weddings.
Every time I look at my daughter, she reminds me of my deceased wife. Probably because she has her mother's eyes. It was an expensive surgery, but worth it. Remember when we used to race down the stairs of that building? My friend said as I caught up with him. Come back down with me and we'll figure everything out, Sam, I said. I'm afraid not. I'll be the first one to make it down this time, he said as he took a step off and plummeted to the bottom.
I often walk up to people and whisper into their ear, "Don't turn around." And you know what happens next? They die.
When I let my calico cat, Pumpkin, into the house in the mornings, sometimes I catch her with fresh blood on her paws, jaw, and teeth. I've scolded her about this before, but sometimes I wonder, albeit gratefully, why I never see the prey she's caught, like I've heard of other cats that bring their owners birds, mice, and squirrels as gifts. But other times, when I wake up in a cold sweat, the sound of claws scraping against my bedroom window still freshly burned into the memories of my nightmares. I wonder if she doesn't bring me her gifts because they're simply too big to carry.
Please leave your message